Hi there, welcome to I'll Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And let's just jump right into it. We have the Garden and the Gate, the Angel of Strength, the Happy Family, and the Magician. And the reason this came out is because of blossoming abundance. So the Garden and the Gate has a feminine figure, and the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine figures can represent how we're taking action in the world and how we present ourselves in the world. We're either manipulated by our more immature emotional nature, and the Garden and the Gate can mean that we don't feel comfortable in high vibe Leo energy, also represented by the Sun, to be our more authentic self, and so our more immature egoic nature and fear and insecurity and worldly nature can manipulate us. And when we're in that energy, just like everybody, we want to be happy and we want to be in relationships with people. We just might not realize how things within ourselves and the people in our life and the world kind of manipulates us. And life's all about learning these lessons, right? And we're all going to go on our journey to learn these lessons in life. And we just need to see the truth that some people have ventured out of their comfort zone. The Strength card of Leo energy can be where you've learned to temper some of your fears, your insecurities, your self-limiting beliefs, your immature nature, your codependent nature, your prideful nature, your bossy, controlling, petty, envious, jealous nature. The list of our more emotionally immature nature, the list is long. And, people are at different stages of having learned life lessons. And we all, in relationship to different people, we could know some people that we feel are still kind of manipulated by things, that we could feel that they kind of stay in a more immature or defensive or prideful or nature, and those people in turn could feel like they have people in their life that they view as more immature or prideful or bossy or controlling or whatever, right? So it's all kind of in perspective, but the truth is everybody's going to live their life based on how they view life at any point in time in their life, right? And everybody wants to be in relationships with other people who are kind of on the same page as them. Sometimes we can get in relationships with people who are more tempered or loving or nurturing or balanced or insightful, wise, mature than we are. Or we know them, we might be hiding that we'd like to have new beginnings with them. Some people could be hiding they'd like to have a new beginning with you. We can all have been in relationships with people who are trying to love and encourage us to believe in ourselves, but we weren't ready to move forward in that way. Okay? So, all of us in relationship to different people are at different places, and we're all kind of trying to find the people who we think are kind of on the same page as us. So, tell us a little bit more about the story of Virgo energy. And the Magician is Gemini Virgo energy. And Gemini has to do with our dualistic nature of what our truth is, kind of where we are on the spectrum of having learned these lessons and freeing ourselves from things that manipulate us and growing and healing and maturing ourselves. And, if we've gotten to a point, if you were to look at the spectrum as A to Z, if you're at a D, you kind of want to be in relationships with people who have learned lessons A, B, and C. Other people might be at a C, and they want to be in relationships with people who have learned A and B, And so we're all kind of looking for people who are on the same page as us. And if we've learned to kind of temper our fears and insecurities, and we've learned these lessons in life, and we have no interest in going back to like repeating an old pattern of a way of living life. We're kind of looking to, I've already been there. I've already learned the lessons I was meant to learn from that. I've been in relationships with some other people that I could have known, that I wish they had learned some of those lessons with me. I would like to have new beginnings with them. I'd like to still be in friendships and relationships with them. But if we feel that we've already seen the truth, because High Vibe Virgo is about seeing the truth, that we're just not on the same page, kind of what drives and motivates us, and what we like to invest our time, energy, and effort into, what we find emotionally fulfilling, what drives and motivates us is kind of different. We're looking for people who are kind of on the same page. And the people who are on the same page as us are the people we're going to keep manifesting with, is kind of the Magician, Gemini, Virgo energy is what that's about. The people in my life who are on the same page as me, those people inspire me to keep living my life the way I live it. I inspire them to live their life the way they live it. But some people are inspiring people to always keep living their life that way. Don't ever really grow and heal and mature yourself. Don't ever free yourself from things that manipulate you, because I don't free myself from things that manipulate me. I hide from having new beginnings. And so the happy family could be kind of interpreted as like the Ten of Cups or the Ten of Pentacles. I have a way of viewing life and living life, and I don't want to add anything to it. I don't want to step outside my comfort zone. I have a way of living life, and I'm good. And then they're trying to find other people who don't dream of kind of working through, like whatever baggage you have, you keep that baggage, because I'm going to keep mine. My things I keep hidden in the dark, I don't plan to look at. I want to get in relationships with other people who have their bag of stuff they've been dragging with, and I don't want you to look through yours either. Because if you do High Vibe Virgo work, which is to look at those things we keep hidden in the dark, or things that manipulate us, if we work through those things, we're going to be inspired to live our life differently. We just don't view life the same way. Virgo's about seeing the truth, and the truth sets us free to live our life differently. I don't view myself the same way. I don't view the world the same way. I work through some of my past pain and heartbreak. It doesn't manipulate me the way it used to. High Vibe energy and High Vibe Virgo's about being more independent, wishing the peace past so that the past peace, so I can keep moving forward in life. And High Vibe energy is about growing to your full potential. And some people don't want to do that, because that would require them to take more bold, brave, confident, inspired action in their life. They don't want to do that. That would be outside their comfort zone. They maybe wouldn't be able to keep operating more from their defensive, egoic nature, and that might make them feel safe and secure, so they don't want to do life differently. They might have people in their life that those people are a primary foundation in their life, that they are maybe more codependent on. That's a friend group or their original family group. I don't want to become more independent of them. And some of those people aren't people they can be in like romantic relationships with, because they're just friends or original family members. And some of the people that are kind of more unwilling to change, unwilling to become more independent, they want to be in relationships with other people, but they're hiding. It's kind of like to indulge themselves in relationships with other people, but whoever these other people could be in their life, or their ego, or their immature nature, or their more self-indulgent nature, that is where their primary loyalty lies. So sometimes you can get in a relationship with people and you're like the third party to them and their friend group, or them and their original family. They want to be in a relationship with you, maybe marry you, maybe have kids with you. But the primary loyalty is to this other foundation in their life that they haven't become independent of to go live their more authentic life. And if those people in their life ever decide, I don't want you moving forward with those people anymore, then they won't move forward with those people anymore because they're fearful of being more independent and living their more authentic life. And other people are kind of hiding that they are more immature, prideful, egotistical, more about indulging themselves, and they just want to get in relationships to kind of indulge themselves. And really don't, they have a lot of lessons to learn about what it really means to be in a relationship with other people. They're still caught up in this illusion that they can just create this illusion in the world. Oh no, I'm not fearful, I'm not insecure, I'm not bossy, I'm not controlling, I'm not egotistical, I'm not self-centered, I'm not codependent on the world or these other people. No, I'm ready to go have a new beginning with you. But it's really just kind of an illusion, and eventually people see through the illusion and people move on from them. And then they go repeat this pattern with someone else, hiding that other loving, encouraging, independent people try to offer them truth and love for them to become more independent, but they're not willing to become more independent of their emotional nature, their defensive nature, their egoic nature, other people in their life. High vibe people have learned those lessons and they've seen the truth and they are moving forward with the people in their life who they think are more on the same page as them. And the other people, they've kind of wished them peace and they've moved on. And the people who are more shadowy or worldly or immature or something, they could be hiding the truth that they've already been in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging, and they didn't move forward with those people either. And now it's just to try to manipulate a new person to indulge them in their more immature or defensive or prideful or codependent ways of being, and hoping the next person won't listen, won't work through their own issues to one day leave them. So tell us a little bit more about this story. Okay, so everybody's probably trying to move forward in life to detach from old foundations. High vibe people are leaving behind more shadowy, worldly people. The worldly, shadowy people are trying to move forward with someone else. And then, we meet these different people in the world and we're trying to figure out, what is your truth? Are you on the same page as me? Are you not on the same page as me? And we can get in relationships with people and we don't kind of realize that we could, with some of the people, high vibe people aren't harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way anymore. And they were willing to cut out the people in their life that harness them in a more shadowy way. And some of their people in their life weren't willing to move forward with them because they would have had to detach from harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way and become independent of some foundations they had been holding on to with people in their life who harness them in a shadowy way. And they weren't willing to do that. So the high vibe people have learned lessons in life. They're not the same people that they were before. With the Ten of Swords, the Six of Cups, and the Three of Pentacles, the Six of Cups can talk about repeating an old pattern. I've been there and I've done that. I don't want to do that anymore. I have put in the work and effort to free myself from living my life that way, viewing my life that way, being in relationships with people who view life a certain way, because I don't view life that way anymore. I might have. Just like at age 18, we viewed life a certain way. We hung out with people who viewed life that way. And then when we no longer, realized that we were kind of backstabbing ourselves, repeating that old pattern, because we have a dream we want to bring into reality. We do want to heal and grow and mature ourselves. I need to detach from that old way of viewing life and living life if I want to keep growing and maturing myself. And high vibe, Knight of Pentacles in Virgo energy is about growing and maturing yourself. I can't keep repeating an old pattern, or I'm never going to keep growing to my full potential. And some people see the truth of that. They realize how they could have been repeating some past patterns out of their own lack mentality, their own codependent nature, their own worldly egoic nature, and things that manipulated them. And they wanted to free themselves from things that manipulated them. I don't want to repeat those old patterns. I've been there, I've done it, it didn't work out the way I wanted. I thought it was the truth. I was willing to get out of my ego to learn lessons in life, and saw it wasn't the truth, and it's time to move on. And the people in my life who don't want to do this work within themselves, in high vibe, the Six of Cups can talk about reconciling yourself with the past and being more balanced within yourself than tipped out of balance, where you are indulging poor behavior in yourself and others. And the people in my life who don't have an interest, they're still maybe more about themselves or the world and caught up in the illusion of the world. And there's these things they want to go indulge in or make their life about because they're sure that'll make them happy. I've already been there and done that. I wasn't seeing things clearly. I kept thinking those things outside of me, or just being in a relationship, was the answer to all my problems. Drinking this, eating this, doing this, acting like this, wearing this, having a certain amount of money, blah, blah, blah. I thought all those things were going to be the answer to me being happy. And I found out they weren't. I still felt left out in the cold. It wasn't the answer. The truth is love. I need to learn to love myself. I need to quit letting the past manipulate me. I need to quit letting the world manipulate me. I need to learn to love myself enough, to believe in myself enough that I deserve to be happy. And the truth is, love is what sets us free. I offer love to myself for the lessons I've had to learn. I offer myself love and compassion, forgiveness. I offer it to other people in my life. Everybody had their free will to live their life the way they wanted to live it. Some of them weren't very just and fair. Some of them were hurtful and unkind, backstabbing, manipulative, prideful, egotistical, left me out in the cold. I let you all go. Because, everybody has their philosophy of life, of what they think is like just and fair. And your idea of what's just and fair and how you want to live your life is different than how I want to live my life. And I'm letting you go. And I'm going to be bold and brave and confident, to not give up on my dreams. I'm just letting go of the past and people in my life who haven't learned to be more authentic and loving, and to do this work within themselves to be free of things that manipulate them. Because I want to be happy. And I've seen the truth. For some people that I might like to move forward with, my dream can't come into reality with them. Because they're still fearful of maybe being more high vibe Leo, the opposite of being in your ego or your defensive nature, or you're prideful, or you're immature, or you're bossy, or you're controlling, or you're manipulative nature, is to free yourself from those things, to be loving and warm and authentic. Align with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. But in order to get there, people had to be inspired to do this work within themselves. And some people aren't inspired to do that work within themselves, because Virgo is earth sign energy, and it means you have to put in time, energy, and effort to free yourself from those things that manipulate you. And some people are not motivated to even detach from the way they view life or live life. And we need to see the truth of that. If they were motivated and inspired to quit repeating some of these poor past patterns, They would. If they were motivated and wanted to do the work and effort to free themselves from things that manipulate them, they would. And we all get to those points in time where we just can't, like, take it anymore. And some people got to that point. You know, what's too much for one person? I can't keep doing this. Another person's like, oh no, I'm not ready to end this. I'm going to keep moving on like this. Well, everybody's on their own journey. I'm not going to keep moving forward like that. I'm going to detach. And other people are going to keep moving forward the way that they've been living life, hiding some of them that they'd like to end some of the situations they're in. But they're either in their ego about ending it. They keep hoping maybe other people will change because the fives talk about change. Oh no, I'm sure if I keep putting in, Virgo's about putting in work and effort. I'm sure if I keep putting work and effort, these other people will change. They'll become a more loving, nurturing, supportive person. I might feel backstabbed and feel left out in the cold, but I'm sure one day they'll change. I'm going to keep staying at this job, in this friendship, in this relationship. Other people saw the truth with the people they were in relationship with. This is not going to move forward the way I want. I can keep moving forward with them. I'll keep feeling backstabbed. I'll keep feeling manipulated. I'll keep feeling left out in the cold. But we can all be tempted, like Virgo, the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy, which is Earth sign energy. We all like to be in friendships. We all like to be in relationships. We all like to have a job. And Taurus energy can represent all those things in the world, all these different institutions in the world. We'd all like the things that we've invested in to work the way we want. Are we willing to see the truth when things aren't moving forward in the direction that we'd want? And if we've been authentic and loving and encouraging, we had no interest in going somewhere else. That would be like high vibe, garden in the gate. I don't have any interest in going out there. I'm happy here. But if we're happy, but other people are hiding, they want to live their life differently, that isn't their truth, or they're more manipulative or egotistical or self-indulgent, we can wait for other people to try to be inspired by the truth and love, and we can keep moving forward with them. Or we can see the truth that some people aren't willing to change, and maybe I kind of was in my ego when I got in some situations in my life, thinking, even though they could have shown me they're not very just or fair, or maybe they're defensive, or maybe they're more materialistic, or maybe they live more from their mind than their heart, or maybe they're more immature, but I can change them, God. And God's kind of like, I've been working with them all their life, and this is who they are. But, we can all want to stay in denial of the truth. I don't want to see the truth. Because if I were to see the truth, I'd have to move forward in life differently, and I'd maybe have to distance myself from them. But I could have love for them. I could be attracted to them. They're part of my original family. Different situations. But there comes a time where people are like, I don't want to keep being in relationships with people who make me feel left out in the cold, who I feel use the love that I have for them to try to manipulate me. I don't want to be in relationships with people who don't want to be in a relationship with me. I don't want to be in relationships with people who backstab me. I don't want to be in relationships with people who are kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial. They might want me to stay in the relationship, want to keep moving forward in a relationship with me. It's good for their ego and their image. It looks like they're victorious and successful by worldly standards. But it's not based on love. It's not having a deep, meaningful relationship. It's moving forward in a relationship because by worldly standards, we have status or stability or security, or we're just in a relationship. And some people aren't willing to stay in jobs, friendships, and relationships for those reasons. Did they struggle within themselves to get out of them? Yeah. And everybody will work through that. And everybody has to make their own decisions based on their own unique circumstances and what they think is best for them. And there's some people in the world right now that aren't going to backstab themselves or let other people backstab themselves anymore. If I was in more codependent energy, I'm done being in more codependent energy. In High Vibe Leo, I've learned to love myself and give myself the things I wish other people would have given me so that I can be happy. I've seen the truth. I need to quit repeating these old patterns. I hold the key to freeing myself. And I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to offer truth and love to the people in my life to move forward with me in a just and fair and authentic and loving, insightful way. And if that's not where they're at, I'm going to wish them peace and I'm going to move on. And because some of you are doing that, some people in your life who were a little immature, maybe manipulative, thought because you loved them that they could manipulate you. People who weren't being authentic or honest, who didn't want to move forward in truth and love, now some of those people could be feeling left out in the cold. Some of them. Because they know they backstabbed loving people who wanted to work together with them in a balanced way and a loving way. But they were still more inspired by their self-defensive nature or their immature nature or their more lustful, greedy, prideful nature, something. And they weren't willing to move forward with those people. And they could be trying to hide from the new people they're trying to move forward with. I've already been in relationships with people who tried to offer me love and encouragement, and I backstabbed them. Maybe because I don't love and believe in myself. And, we will, the Magician card talks about, we will manifest based on what our truth is. And if some people believe they don't love and believe in themselves, that other people in the world are more loving or bold or brave or confident than they are, and other people always leave them out in the cold and reject them, they will prove themselves true. They will manifest that. I will manifest you leaving. If I believe you're going to leave me one day, I will. How differently do you act in a relationship if you believe people are going to reject you and hurt you one day, or not love you or believe in you, or you don't love and believe in yourself? You every day can focus your time, energy, and effort, and Virgo energy talks about what we invest our time, energy, and effort into. Some people invest a lot of time and energy in trying to manipulate people. 2 cards of manipulation, than being authentic and loving. Some people put a lot of work and effort investing in their ego and their image and their defensive nature, instead of figuring out why they act like that. Some people don't want to see that they sabotage relationships. Some people don't want to see the truth that they have a self-defeating attitude. Oh, everybody will leave me. People always reject me. And then because they have that philosophy, the way they act in relationship, eventually people leave the relationship. Because the way you act in a relationship, if you have hope and faith and belief in yourself and in love, and you're willing to deal with your fears and your insecurities, to not repeat poor past patterns and learn lessons in life, you behave differently than you do if you are too much in your ego to admit that you could be wrong. That maybe you do have some lessons to learn in life. Maybe you do self-sabotage yourself. Maybe you do kind of are in your ego. And, there's some people in the world, too, that are quite egotistical. And they think everybody should want to be in a relationship with them. And that you shouldn't have your own dreams and ambitions. If you get in a relationship with them, you should be happy you're in a relationship with them. And you should move forward with them in a relationship. And even if they are someone who lives more from their mind and their heart, even if they are someone shadowy Six of Cups, can be shadowy Scorpio energy, where people keep their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature buried beneath the surface because they operate more from their more immature, egoic nature. And they're kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial. And they think people should want to work together with them and move forward with them in a relationship because maybe they have a certain status or image, or they're attractive, or they're charming, or they have money, or whatever they think they got. Some people really don't have much of anything, but they're just very egotistical and self-centered. But they're caught up in the illusion of themselves. Boy, they're inspired by themselves. And if anybody thinks they're ever going to stop aligning with that way of viewing life, they're crazy, because that is their philosophy of life. And they're just going to go try to find someone who agrees with them. So all sorts of different people are moving forward basically in the world. High vibe people have learned some lessons in life about some more immature, worldly, shadowy, manipulative, prideful, egotistical, lack mentality people. And they don't want to be in that energy. They've offered love and encouragement within themselves to not align with that energy within themselves. And they don't want to be in workplaces, relationships, and friendships with people who act that way. We can all work and have people in our community that are all on the spectrum of different ways of viewing life. We can get along with all sorts of people. We can offer people love and encouragement. But are we going to get in a more involved relationship with them? No. We have Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life. Kind of what drives and motivates me, and what inspires me, and what I think is just and fair, and what I think is emotionally fulfilling is different than what drives and motivates you, and what you think is just and fair, and what you find emotionally fulfilling. And that's fine, because different strokes for different folks, and you got the free will to live your life the way you want. Am I going to move forward with you in a more involved relationship? No. Because we're just not on the same page. And high vibe people are willing to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold. Because I'm not willing to do that. And that means I have to, with the people in my life who are loving and encouraging and supportive, you know, even if it's just appreciating the people in the world that you meet out in the world, I'm going to appreciate and be thankful for those people in my life. I am going to move forward. There's going to be some people in my life that will not be moving forward with me. I am going to go through a period of probably feeling left out in the cold. But I've learned to love myself and be happy within myself. And I have a dream I want to bring into reality. The Ten of Cups is Pisces energy, about our dreams and our wishes and things we find emotionally fulfilling. And I'm going, high vibe Taurus, I'm going to walk the talk. Could I want to just get in a relationship or go indulge in some things of the world to make myself feel better? Sure. But I've already learned if I do that, I get myself tangled up in things where I just feel left out in the cold. Then I got to end those relationships because it wasn't aligned with my truth. And I don't want to. You know, and some more immature, self-indulgent people, that is a pattern of their life. Well, I feel left out in the cold. I don't want to feel left out in the cold. I'm going to go indulge myself in a relationship hiding that I'm just maybe indulging in it. I have no intention of getting in a deep, meaningful relationship with someone and moving forward with them. But as long as they don't see the truth, so long as they're letting me continuing to indulge in it, I'll keep moving forward in the relationship. And that's what some people are doing right now. Some people are getting out of one that they were indulging in. Some people are realizing someone got in a relationship with them and was indulging in a relationship with them. You know, at what time are we going to see the truth that some of the people in our life aren't being authentic? That their dream is different than our dream. How they want to move forward is different than how we want to move forward. That maybe we were both caught up in illusion. Maybe neither one of us wanted to see the truth because we wanted to be in a relationship or we wanted a job and this is a mismatch. This isn't working out. You know, and the people who see the truth throughout their life, they kind of wish people peace and kind of, you know, offer love and encouragement. But it's like, I'm kind of going to the next phase of life to face my fears and insecurities. If you want to come with, you can come with. But if you want me to kind of repeat some of these old ways of viewing life or living life, I'm not there anymore. If that's what you want to do, you might need to go find some other people to hang out with. I do want to move forward. If you want to come with and you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and, you know, detach from some old ways of being and kind of putting in the work and effort with me and in your life and me in my life, and together we're being like supportive and encouraging people to each other, okay. But if not, you know, because we can always have people who are like, but I want to come with. It's like, yeah, but you have issues from your past that you haven't worked through that kind of slows me down. You know, where maybe you want me to be a more you know, some people always want people to be the loving, encouraging people to them. That's where we get out of codependent energy. We need to learn to be that loving, encouraging person to ourselves. But for some people, that's not their truth. Well, no, that's not how I view relationships. I look to go get in relationships for people to be the loving, encouraging people in my life to help me move forward. It's like, but you're never able to be kind of that person to other people because you're always looking for it outside of yourself. And in high vibe Virgo energy, you haven't incorporated that truth into your own philosophy of life to be that type of person within yourself to be able to offer it to others. So it's kind of like people who say they're lazy and you're not lazy. They want to move forward with you because it's great being in a relationship with someone who's not lazy. They don't want to be in a relationship with another lazy person. Just like, well, I want to be bossy or controlling and immature, and I like that you're not bossy and controlling and immature, and I don't want to hang out with people like me who are bossy and controlling and immature. It's like, well, I don't either. You know, but that's the energy you're in, but yet you want to come with me, but you haven't worked through these things of your past that make you be in that more shadowy energy. I want to be in relationships with people who have seen the truth and detached. The Five of Pentacles has learned lessons about the Four of Pentacles, an old way of living life, viewing life, a way of being that they were holding on to. And it's kind of like they want to hold on to that old way of living life or viewing life and just move forward with you in a relationship. But they haven't learned the lessons. But they like being in a relationship with other people who have learned those lessons. Like, oh, you're more authentic and loving and warm. You're not prideful and egotistical and defensive. Yeah, I like being in a relationship with you. But I still am in that shadowy energy. You know, I want to be in shadowy energy, but hang out with people who aren't in shadowy energy. I want to be more immature, but I want to hang out with people who are less immature. I might want to be materialistic, selfish, greedy, full of myself, but I don't like hanging out with other people who are like that. I like to hang out with people who don't act like that, but I still want to be like that, right? And you can see where that is people who are not, they haven't learned the lessons they need to learn to move forward. But some people, kind of in their pride and ego, I want to look like I'm that type of person and present myself like I'm more stable and grounded and emotionally mature and loving and wise and insightful than I really am. And they try to get in relationships with people and create this illusion that, oh no, they've worked through those things. They've learned the same lessons you've learned. They're ready to move forward with you in a relationship. And then as you move forward with them in a relationship, you realize they have no intention of detaching, and they haven't learned some of those lessons. But some of them are hoping, well, I hope if I get you maybe in a relationship or a marriage with me and get you to move forward with me, I'm hoping even when you do see the truth, because of your ego and your image and your kind of codependency and don't want to detach, that you'll keep staying in the relationship with me and moving forward with me, even though you do see the truth that I'm not who I said I was. And that's what some shadowy people count on. That we can all be tempted in our more worldly egoic nature. Well, what would people say? You know, Taurus energy is also represented by the Hierophant, like, you know, these man-made rules and what would people say? And, well, you just can't, you know. High vibe people listen to a higher truth and justice. If someone I come to realize isn't who they said they were, then that was an injustice. Somebody like committed fraud. They were not who they said they were. And I am not going to keep working together with them, and I am going to detach from them, and the world can judge away. I am not going to stay in a situation that is unjust, unfair, imbalanced, and even if someone was, you know, we have no guarantee when people going to run their life off into the ditch. And if people quit acting with character and integrity, quit working with us, two cards that can talk about working with us cooperatively in a balanced, loving way, well, then they're no longer being just and fair, and they're not acting with character and integrity. They're harnessing, that would be high vibe Taurus, and they're harnessing a more shadowy Taurus energy. Somewhere along the way, they kind of detached from the truth to be a more shadowy energy. Well, then the relationship has become imbalanced, and that's an injustice. If the other people are still trying to move forward in truth and love and justice and fairness, and the other people are like, well, no, how about you be that way, but I don't have to be that way anymore, and I can maybe make my life more about these other things. It's like, well, now we're not on the same page, so now I don't want to work with you anymore. Tell us what else is going on with this story in Virgo energy. The Ten of Cups and the King of Swords. Why? Because of the Fool. Well, the high vibe people are standing up in the King of Swords. The kings can represent how you present yourself in the world, how you're taking action in the world. High vibe people took a leap of faith. The King of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. I want justice and fairness and truth and love inspired. The Fool card and Aries energy, fire sign energy. I am inspired by truth and love, justice and fairness, treating other people the way I like to be treated. And if I am treating other people in that way, and I am not backstabbing people, repeating poor past patterns, being more selfish or greedy or whatever, I deserve justice in the world. And if I've offered truth and love to the people in my life to move forward with me in that way, the people in my life who do move forward with me in that energy are the people I'm going to keep moving forward with. And the people in my life who didn't want to be in that energy might have wanted to come with, but they wanted to harness that energy in a more shadowy way. Shadowy Pisces, shadowy Libra, shadowy Aries, where they're kind of more about themselves and indulging themselves, maybe either in their self-protective nature or living more from their mind than their heart, where they really, you can't have kind of a deep, meaningful relationship with them because they're more inspired to align with their more defensive or self-protective nature or immature or self-indulgent nature. And they don't really want to become independent of it to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature and be more inspired by love. And the people who weren't, when you were moving forward and you were harnessing this energy in a high vibe way, that's when some of the people in your life could have decided to try to manipulate and control you. That's shadowy Leo energy. Shadowy Libra. I have an idea. I don't want to move forward with them in a more just and fair, hopeful, believing, loving, inspired way, because that might not be where I'm at in my life or how I view life. But I do think maybe they love me, and I know I will act in these unkind, unjust, unfair ways. I think that's just and fair, because I think they should indulge me and they should do the relationship the way I want to do it. And they shouldn't reconcile themselves with their past. And they shouldn't want to move forward in life differently, because I don't want to move forward in life differently. I had a way of viewing life that I'm happy living my life that way. And I wanted them to keep living their life that way. But the whole thing is, we are meant to grow and mature and heal ourselves, to keep shedding old layers of ourselves, to give birth to new ways of being and viewing the world. Like my nesting dolls, you shed an old version of yourself. You know, at age 15 you were one way. At age 18 you shed a more immature way to be more like an 18-year-old. Then as time went by, you shed that layer of yourself to be more like a 21-year-old. And I think we're meant to go through that process in our life. But some people, it's like, hey, I don't mind growing up to a certain degree, but there comes a time where I don't want, you have to be inspired in the blossoming abundance to even be inspired to detach from an old way of life. And some people aren't. And again, we all kind of get there. We look at life differently. What we think is just and fair at different stages of our life is different. And sometimes when we've changed about how we view life and how we view ourselves, how we view others, what we used to think was just and fair in a relationship, we might not feel as just and fair in a relationship. Think back when you were younger and you got a job and, maybe ways, and when you were young and dealing with people, things you used to put up with in relationships and in workplaces, We could have let people backstab and betray us. We could have let people be more manipulative or prideful or immature or bossy or controlling. Partly because, we had things about learning to love ourselves and to stand up for what we believed in. And we could have indulged people for quite a long time in poor behavior. But eventually some people are like, I'm done. High Vibe Virgo is about appreciating your worth and value and what you bring to the table. And we all tap into Virgo energy. Are we more aligned with our more worldly nature, or growing and maturing ourselves and freeing ourselves from things that manipulate us to stand in our truth and stand up for what's just and fair? There's some people, they don't want to be just and fair in a relationship. They want to be able to be immature. They want to be able to backstab and manipulate people. They probably got people who backstab and manipulate them, but they don't want to see the truth of it, but they align with those people. They might not want to become independent of their fear or other people in their life and speak their truth. Well, I'm willing to speak my truth, and I'm going on a new journey. And if I'm not in relationships with people who are treating me like that, I might not have everything I want, but at least I'm only investing my time, energy, and effort into people who are being truthful and honest and just and fair and inspired by love. And the other people can go hang out with who they want to go hang out with. If that's what they think is just and fair, and that's what motivates and inspires them, then hey, you do you. If it's more about them being indulged, being in relationships with people who are more codependent, other people who don't want deep, meaningful relationships, other people who are maybe more about ego and image or indulging in the world, hey, go find your people. Rock on, man. We've all kind of been there. But high vibe people are willing to speak their truth and love to people in their life. I love you. I would like to move forward in this way. But it has to be where people have to be willing to deal with the truth. People have to stop repeating some poor past patterns. People have to be inspired by love and being just and fair. And maybe it was never love that drove and motivated some people to begin with. Maybe it's just because they feel left out in the cold. For some, it's just to have a certain status and image. Some, it's just to indulge himself. It's like, well then, go find someone else to be in a relationship with. The end card, are we willing in the Empress energy to give birth to something new, or are we not? And we might not, some people aren't willing to give birth to something new because they find the way that they're living life may be very abundant. Why would I leave this? Why? I don't even have an interest in doing my life. And we've all been there. When we were in the middle of being age 18, did we want to be maybe more like a 25-year-old? No. Because that's not where I'm at. I'm enjoying this. We could have people who are 25 telling us to live our life a certain way. It's like, I'm not even there and for those responsibilities. I'm going to enjoy my life like an 18-year-old. And we all view life at different places. It's just that some people are ready emotionally in Libra, Taurus energy, and their Virgo energy. I have learned what I've needed to learn from a certain phase of life. If I keep repeating it, I think I might be doing it more out of my fearful nature, self-protective nature of giving birth to anything new. But I already know that I kind of feel like I've completed a phase of life, like I'm not finding it as abundant and everything as I did at one point in time, and I am kind of ready to give birth to something new, and other people in our life aren't. So they're going to go keep repeating that pattern until they ever get to that point. And then maybe they'll be like, oh my God, I can't keep living my life like this either. I'm ready to give birth to something new. And some of them never will. And a more shadowy Empress, Libra, Taurus energy can be, I'm either more about indulging being more about myself, either my immature nature, my defensive nature, my egoic nature, or my materialistic nature. And that's what they're sure will make them happy. And as long as that is their their philosophy of life, that will keep being their truth, and that's what will keep motivating and inspiring them. And we just need to see the truth about different people in our life. Love isn't what drives and motivates some people. Being just and fair. Growing up. Maturing themselves. Detaching. Being more independent. Some people have no interest in doing that. Other people do. And we go to find the people in the world and invest our time, energy, and effort into the people in our life who we think are more on the same page as us. So, what's coming up for people who harness a more high vibrational Virgo energy? The Ace of Cups. The Tens can talk about completions of a cycle. If you were to look at life as like a video game where you have to conquer levels, just like back in the day with Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, you had to overcome certain obstacles on a level. And once you kind of mastered that level, then you can go to the next level of life because you're ready to learn more lessons in life. To add to your foundation of self, to become someone who is more enlightened. People who perpetually stay like between an 18 and a 25-year-old all their life aren't quite as enlightened as people who became like a 35 and a 45-year-old emotional maturity-wise. And the people, some people are very wise souls when they're young. But anyway, you get to have a new emotional beginning because that's what you want to manifest. Why? Because of the Chariot. The Chariot is Cancer energy out of love for yourself. And a want to be in more emotionally balanced, loving relationships letting your more high vibrational energy of hope and faith and belief guide your life versus your more shadowy nature of fear and insecurity and doing what's logical and practical or indulging yourself. And because you're willing to do that work within yourself, that is what you will manifest. And you will give birth to a new emotional beginning that's, it's kind of like the divine, life-giving energy represented by God at the big picture. We are manifestors. We can manifest our life. We have to quit investing in old ways of being and people who aren't motivated and inspired by justice and fairness and truth and love if we want to give birth to justice and fairness and truth and love. And if we keep doing that, high vibe energy will work with us to manifest that dream into reality. And the Chariot card talks about moving forward victoriously in an emotionally balanced way. If we're not moving forward in an emotionally balanced way, motivated by love, why are we moving forward? What drives and motivates us? We're probably going to be indulging poor behavior in ourselves and others and kind of driving our life off into the ditch. Then it's probably not going to work out the way we want. And when we see the truth, I need to trust in having some hope and faith and belief in myself, in a higher power. We live in a world of duality. I don't think you have to be religious, but, for simplicity's sake, high vibe power of creativity, imagination, intuition, those are things we can work with. And I think like our intuition was given to us as a gift to navigate in this world. Or we can align with our more worldly nature, where we just think we have these things of the world to work with, doing what's logical and practical. We ignore our intuition. We don't listen to our more creative, inspired, loving nature that wants us to manifest our dreams into reality. And we make our life more about these superficial things and get caught up in making our life about those things. And I think in a world of duality where we have free will, is to learn the lesson that if we make our life more about those things, it isn't going to bring us the justice and the abundance we think it will bring, because love is the answer. And we offer other people love, but I'm not going to indulge people in poor behavior. I'm going to stand up for myself and my own loving nature. And if you don't want to come with me in that type of energy, then go enjoy whoever else you want to go enjoy yourself with in the world. And I will go find people who are more on the same page as me. And I think you're going to move forward victoriously. Getting justice. Because you're not investing your time, energy, and effort into people who aren't in that energy. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy? The Queen of Wands. Why? Because of the Three of Pentacles. Well, shadowy Queen of Wands is they're kind of going to be in their ego. Because they made their life more about the world. And they made their ego more important. Being more about themselves important. Trying to manipulate and control people in relationships to get them to stay in relationships with them, instead of offering truth and love. And then some of the people who might end up staying in a relationship with them could be other people who did kind of backstab, believing and in loving themselves, who are willing to move forward with some of these maybe more bossy, emotionally cold, detached, materialistic, egotistical, self-centered people. And they could all kind of want to end it, but because it makes logical, practical sense, and by worldly standards, it could look like they have justice in the world, and they have these things of the world that in their ego tells them they should stay in it because of those things, they will. But while they're staying in relationships more because of stability or security or status or image Other people are moving forward in love. And you have the free will to manifest whatever life you want. But they weren't willing to detach from their more worldly, egoic, or defensive view of life to stand up for themselves and their more loving nature. And when they weren't willing to stand up for that within themselves, they also weren't willing to stand up for the people in their life that were in that energy. And those people moved on to go find people who were in that type of energy. And they could be in their ego because they're in relationships with people who are willing to stay in relationships with them because it makes logical, practical sense. This is good for my ego and my image. I have fear of loving and believing in myself. I have fear of becoming independent. I will stay in relationships with people who I feel are manipulative, bossy, controlling, egotistical, self-centered, materialistic, where I feel left out in the cold. Because I'm unwilling to get in the driver's seat of my own life to love myself. And they might not be too happy being in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. Because if they had their way, what they wanted was maybe to be able to be shadowy and be a loving person to indulge them. And the loving people, some other loving person can indulge them if they want. But some other loving people are like, I'm not indulging you anymore. I'm going to go find other loving people. You can find someone else. And if they want to indulge you, everybody has the free will choice to stand up for themselves and what their truth is. And we come into contact with people like this to see what is your truth. Are you someone who's willing to indulge someone in poor behavior because you love them? Well, you can love people. Love is supposed to be just and fair. Some people are like, oh no, no. See, I'm this loving person. Well, being in a relationship where you're indulging people in poor behavior, you might be doing that out of your own ego. Because if you were to get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as you, it would challenge you to grow and heal and mature yourself. And if you're in relationships with people who are more immature or whatever, then they don't challenge you to grow and maybe to be patient, but they don't really challenge you to grow to your full potential. So there you go, Virgo energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.